This request comes from Stephen Quinn on what if Piccolo Daimao performed shugyo or austere training within the Denshi Jar, or if it was possible at all, as we don't get a concrete idea on how much freedom one trapped by the Mafuba has. With nothing to do, the Daimao focuses on meditation to cultivate his ki, as well as create a double to spar within the empty space and accumulate experience faster. The meditation not only enhances his ki, but gives much for him to ponder on his approach should he get out. When Pilaf saves him, Piccolo's far greater power makes the major change before gaining his youth, a far stronger tambourine taking Goku's life with one blow, and Symbol doing the same to Yajirobe. His goal before conquering the world though, is to go to the Shinden and overpowers Kami and Popo, wary on if Kami may take his own life as the only option against his far superior power, and shows the skills he's developed in captivity, and Mafuba to effortlessly seal Kami before doing the same to Popo, and taken over as both an evil god and great demonkin of Earth, then fill in his title list with Supreme Ruler of Earth 2 on the same day. His policies are still the same, but with even more of an efficient eradication of martial artists unknown to him. There is someone who plots to defeat him in the shadows, Gero's objective now being purely to defeat Piccolo Daimao. When Raditz arrives, his scouter blows up trying to scan the highest battle power on Earth, but sets off in that direction when Shuet must have malfunctioned. Both he and Piccolo comment on the other not being from Earth, with Raditz even letting it slip he didn't expect a Namekian to be on Earth. The Daimao easily overpowers Raditz, but attacks lightly enough for him to survive, impressed he's stronger than any pariah opponent, and curious on his own origins. Likewise, Raditz wonders how high Piccolo's ceiling actually is, wondering if he can defeat Vegeta, or even be the one person to challenge Frieza. He tells Piccolo everything and says he should go to Namek, to not only help Piccolo discover himself, but prepare to oppose Frieza. Raditz teaches the Daimao how his attack ball works, with Piccolo sealing him with the Mafuba, so they have space to travel, having taken time to scout out the tower below his heavenly palace. Piccolo also brings the remaining Senzu he stole from Kadin, needing to get the coordinates for Namek. Raditz recommends going to one of Frieza's planets to get a new scouter and conquer it. Piccolo has no difficulty doing so, especially when spawning many Mazoku to also guard his territory. Raditz gets injured during the fight by a stray ki blast from one of Frieza's soldiers, such as, say, Apul, with Piccolo feeding him his senzu and deducing the cyan power ability from how much his ki has grown. It takes a short while to have Raditz get brought to the brink of death and then put in the medical machine several times, but goes back on schedule once becoming wary this trait may cause Raditz to surpass him one day. Raditz then requests one more detour in telling Vegeta and Nappa that he's found information on a new planet they can conquer to curry Frieza's favour, and to rendezvous at his location. When there, he flaunts his power over both, at which point the Daimao compels him to execute these former comrades.
Do it.
Vegeta mocks Raditz for swapping one master for another, but Raditz retorts that, if he were truly being used, Piccolo would have recruited those two to bring them to even greater heights than himself, that he has been recognized as a win to elevate the universe's new overlord, and that a top-class warrior like himself won't hesitate to get rid of those that will hold him back, as he reduces both to atoms. Piccolo glad to see his servant has the ideals of a Mazoku. When arriving on Namek, Piccolo flaunts his power, but doesn't fatally injure the inhabitants when curious to learn of his roots, and what other abilities he may be unaware of. Having deduced Kami created the Dragon Balls, he asks about them, and the reaction from a village elder such as Muri, trying to play dumb, tells him all he needs to know. He and Raditz then start exterminating the villagers, when seen there as nothing more to gain from this world, so long as he gets the Dragon Balls. His ki now making his homeworld's people seem like lower beings to him. He also gathers hints from each elder's reaction to deduce the password, and learning from the Saichoro that such power would be a blessing, and far greater had Kami reunited with him as the dominant one. One village attempts to merge into one to fight him, but the key is still nowhere near. That would be expected of the strongest warrior of each village merging. Still, it's enough to challenge the Daimao, until he births several Mazoku to aid him. His first wish is to be made truly immortal, next to sever the life link between he and Kami, in case that would be a loophole to it, and the third, to make what surviving Namekians remain loyal to him. This only makes the Saichoro and some of the children like Dende loyal, with the rest having surpassed the power of the Saichoro. But this is all he needs, as he has the potential of him, Raditz, and the Mazoku unlocked, before ordering him to use his remaining lifespan to birth a Bunshin to carry on his abilities. The free-thinking Namekians are wiped out, and the enslaved, aside from the new Saichoro, are assimilated into the Daimao before Piccolo goes into direct war against Frieza on his main planet. Both he and Raditz are overconfident enough to make Frieza transform, but all these buffs have made Piccolo Daimao come to the level that his Bunshin would be before merging with Kami, crushing Frieza, and Raditz prevented any planet-busting shenanigans before they wipe Frieza out together. Piccolo continues his conquest of the universe, while only sending one Mazoku, we'll call him Flute, to relay events to Piano and provide him a scouter for communications. It's not long before Cold Dior comes out of retirement, but this Dior is reduced to pieces by the Daimao, who quickly gets about replacing much of the old guard of Frieza's territory with his own spawn. It's around 4 years later that Piano relays a message of some unknown enemies having taken down Flute, Tambourine and Cymbal, now advancing on King Castle, before communications are cut off. Piccolo is shocked by any Earthling surpassing his Mazoku, as he returns to Earth with Raditz, and those that have become his most trusted Mazoku. The new threat is of course the artificial humans, but of a far different collection than normally. A world of terror for humanity has caused Gero to have the more noble goal of saving humanity from Piccolo, along with Lapis and Lazuli, having been willing to go through Gero's experiments to live in a better world, with the roster of this rebellion at King Castle being 17, 18, 19 and 20. Piccolo is unprepared for this, with everyone but himself being wiped out by 17 and 18, as the immortal Piccolo endures their overwhelming power. But 19 and 20 start draining him, before his immortality makes it clear to them he is something of an infinite energy model himself. Gero then orders his creations to subdue Piccolo. As he brings him back to his lab to experiment on him, Gero manages to turn him into a Jinzo Ningen, with it making him susceptible to a shutdown remote, given a different frequency to the others, and assuring the immortal terror inflicted on Earth remains buried in the lab for all eternity. Gero becomes the new king of Earth, with his goal being to rebuild civilization, chooses to activate 16 and remove his bomb, with the love of nature that will help with the rebuilding. 17 and 18 return to normal lives, and the fear of Piccolo's evil in a new form convinces Gero to stop any further development of Cell. Though the remaining Mazoku often attempt to invade Earth, they are wiped out by the new Red Ribbon Empire. That is, aside from one guarding Namek, who we'll call Clarinet. He decides he should walk in his father's footsteps, and gains immortality, but is selfish enough to dispose of the Saichoro afterwards. He stays clear of Earth, but his conquest of worlds on the edge of space brings him into Babidi's grasp as a new servant. In Age 774, Shin seeks out Gero for help stopping Babidi, with them both using the long-delayed Tenkaichi Budokai as an opportunity to find him. Yamo alone is the one to enter, with him leaving after draining Jewel, and causes Babidi's location to be determined. 17 comes along, quickly wiping out Dabura, whose inability to sense his energy makes him assume him to be worthless, before being annihilated by 17 far less restricted by Gero, and allowed to bring out his potential better. Clarinet instead serves as the opponent for stage 3, with his immortality having caused him to spar regularly with Dabura, and become stronger than Yakon, but still be nothing to 17, who drags him out for Gero to get rid of the Daimao's final legacy. After this, peace returns to Earth, with Gero employing Hedor as his new assistant, to happily make what he desires. Gero creates 21, and decides they and 16 can serve as an attempt to rebuild his family. For Super, Granola still uses the Dragon Balls to unlock his full potential, overthrows the Heaters, and helps the Galactic Patrol remove any remnant of Frieza and Piccolo's empires from their conquered worlds. In GT's continuity, the Gammas patrol space to thwart any attempt at evil emerging and become aware of the machine mutants. Word of this reaches Gero, who is curious enough about these artificial creations to venture into space with 19 and 21. The Gamma's synchronicity has them overcome Lude, before clues eventually lead them to M2. Mew, having become interested in these man-made beings, has him come there to request an alliance with Gero, combining their approaches to making a completely new type of life form. Once the Gammas get rid of Rild too early for him to transform, Gero sees much of his past self in Mew, but plays along, getting very cautious when Mew requests they stick to visits on M2, rather than his main territory. Hedor soon comes to assist with 17 and 18, after Mew notes Gero's human-based designs would be perfect for this. 17 agrees to serve as the basis for this, with Hedor countering Mew's attempts to make Super 17 obedient to him his feigned loyalty, at first serving to get into Mew's lab, at which point Baby is discovered and completely destroyed by Super 17, enveloping him in a Dengeki Jigoku Dama. Though 17 isn't happy with his new look, he accepts it as a small price to pay to avoid a catastrophe, as Gero assures his creations will defend the universe from any new danger. It's here that we see not just the irony towards those who use the Dragon Ball selfishly, but the importance of Piccolo's character growth. Though having time to change how he plans the situation, the lack of Goku or Gohan to chip away at his evil nature would prevent him from becoming as dynamic of a character when only surrounded by those who would affirm his demonic goals. Thank you for having watched through this What If. Comment your own ideas, subscribe to not miss such a request, and check out these older ones. On the subject of Piccolo's mentality changing over time, you may want to see this video on his character growth and search for identity.